I literally told this guy I wasn't ready to date him until after my hoe phase. And now he won't even look at me. Like, what was I supposed to do? Wait around and miss out on all the fun just because he decided to catch feelings? I'm Brittany, 24, and honestly, I thought I was doing the right thing by being upfront. Let me back up. So, my ex, Trent, and I broke up 4 months ago. It was messy. He was controlling and jealous over everything. After that disaster, I swore I'd take time to just have fun and not jump into anything serious. Around the same time, Randall split with his girlfriend too. We'd been in the same friend group for years, but never really hung out alone until we both suddenly had all this free time. At first, it was just grabbing coffee to vent about our exes. Then we started hitting up happy hours, watching movies at his place, or just walking around downtown on weekends. Before I knew it, we were texting all day and hanging out like 4 times a week. He's funny in this dry, sarcastic way that catches you off guard. And he actually listens, not that fake listening guys do when they're just waiting for you to stop talking. Paige kept saying he was into me, but I brushed it off. We're just friends, picking up the pieces after bad breakups, I told her. Between us, though, I did notice how good he looked in his work clothes, or how his whole face lights up when he laughs, but I wasn't ready to risk our friendship over a rebound. And I definitely wasn't done having my freedom. One night, we were at his apartment watching some crime documentary. We ordered Thai food, had a couple beers, and we're just chilling on his couch. During a boring part, we started talking about dating apps, and I was showing him this ridiculous profile I'd come across. We were laughing, sitting closer than usual. And then there was this moment, the kind where the laughter stops, but you're still looking at each other. You leaned in and kissed me, and I kissed him back. Not going to lie, it was good, like surprisingly good. When we pulled away, he had this serious look and said, "I think I'm falling for you, Britt." My stomach dropped. Part of me was excited, but a bigger part was terrified. I just got out of a relationship. Summer was coming up. I had plans to live it up, flirt with strangers, dance on tables, all that fun stuff you can't do when you're tied down. So I told him the truth. I think I could fall for you too, but I'm not ready. I need to have my hot girl summer, get the wild phase out of my system. But maybe after that, at the end of the summer, we could try for real. I thought he'd appreciate my honesty. Instead, his face just fell. He tried to play it cool, said he understood, but everything felt different after that night. He started taking longer to text back. Our hangouts went from 4 times a week to maybe once, and always with other people around. I'd see him laughing with Dominic or other friends, but with me, he was polite, too polite. It was like watching someone slowly back away. I figured he just needed space to deal with his feelings, and that was fine. I was busy anyway, downloading dating apps and planning girls' nights with Paige. By June, I was in full summer mode. Brunch dates, rooftop bars, beach days with guys from the apps. I was having fun, exactly what I wanted. But sometimes after a mediocre date, I'd catch myself wondering what Randall was doing, or I'd want to text him about something funny that happened. When we did hang out with other group, I'd tell him about my dating disasters, thinking he'd laugh like he used to. Instead, he just nod or change the subject. I didn't realize how much I missed our friendship until I saw him chatting up some blonde at our friend's barbecue. She was laughing at everything he said, touching his arm, and he was completely into it. I felt this weird burning in my chest that I refused to call jealousy. After all, wasn't this what I wanted? Both of us out there being single, having fun, but watching him smile at her the way he used to smile at me made me want to march over and remind him about our end of summer plan. I didn't, though. I just downed my drink and found someone else to talk to. The summer rolled on and I kept dating around like I planned, but none of the guys was all that interesting. One was obsessed with his car, another wouldn't stop talking about crypto, and most just wanted hookups with minimal effort. Meanwhile, Randall seemed to be enjoying single life on his own terms. He was going hiking, trying new restaurants, even taking guitar lessons, stuff he'd talked about doing for ages. And he was seeing this girl, Haley, not officially, but everyone could see it happening. They arrived at gatherings together, sat together, left together. "I thought you weren't into relationships right now," I said when I finally managed to get Randall alone at a pool party. We were standing by the drinks table, and I'd timed my approach for when Haley went to the bathroom. Wasn't looking for one, he said simply. Sometimes things just happen naturally. So, what's so special about her? I tried to sound casual, but it came out all wrong. Randall sighed. Brittany, what do you want from me? I faltered. Summer's almost over. He looked at me for a long moment. Yeah, it is. Then he grabbed a beer and walked back to where Haley was now chatting with Paige. The truth was hitting me hard. Randall had moved on. Labor Day weekend came, the unofficial end of summer. I told Randall back in May that after summer, we could try for real. But as I sat scrolling through Instagram, seeing pictures of him and Haley at some lake house with friends, I realized the deadline meant nothing to him anymore. I texted him, hey, can we talk? Coffee at Riley's tomorrow? To my surprise, he agreed. When I got to the coffee shop, he was already there, looking good in a navy button down that made his eyes pop. I'd spent an hour getting ready, trying to look effortless. Remember back in May, when you told me how you felt, and I said I needed the summer, but after that, maybe we could try, I smiled. Well, it's after summer now, and I've been thinking about us a lot. I think I'm ready for something real with you. The silence that followed was excruciating. Randall looked down at his coffee, then back at me. Brittany, he said finally, I don't feel that way about you anymore. Even though I'd sensed it coming, the words still hit like a slap. But dude, you mean because of Haley? No, not because of Haley. This happened before her. He leaned back in his chair. When you told me you wanted to wait until after your yah ho ho phase, something changed for me. It made me see things differently between us, but I was just being honest. My voice rose, making a couple nearby look over. And that's the problem, he said. You expected me to just wait around while you dated other people, then come running when you decided you were ready. That's not how I want to start a relationship. That's not fair. I never asked you to wait. You didn't have to. You assumed I would, he sighed. Look, I value our friendship, but romantically, I've moved on. And yes, I'm seeing Haley now. I felt my throat tighten. So that's it? I missed my chance because I wanted a few months of freedom? You didn't miss a chance. You made a choice. He checked his watch. I should get going. I have plans. As he walked out, leaving me with a cold coffee and wounded pride. I couldn't believe this was happening. I was supposed to be the one who got to decide when our timing was right. How dare he move on before I was ready for him? Over the next few weeks, I tried everything to get Randall's attention back. I'd text him random things that reminded me of him. I'd show up at places I knew he might be. I even drunk called him one night, which I'm not proud of. He was always polite but distant, making it clear he wasn't interested in anything beyond basic friendship. Then I had a brilliant idea. Our friend Lisa was having a birthday party, and I knew Randall would be there. I invited Jake, this hot trainer from my gym, as my plus one, perfect for making someone jealous. At the party, I made sure to laugh extra loud at Jake's jokes and stay within Randall's sightline. But Randall seemed completely unbothered, focused entirely on Haley and their friends. The next morning, hungover and miserable, I did something I'm not proud of. I went through my photo library and found an old picture of Randall and me from last summer. I posted it with the caption, "Missing simpler times with this one," and tagged him. Within an hour, Randall texted me, "Please take that down." "Why? It's just a throwback pic." I replied innocently. "You know why, Brittany? Haley saw it, and now I have to explain." I reluctantly deleted the post, but felt a surge of satisfaction, knowing I'd caused a ripple between them. Maybe if things got rocky, he'd remember what we could have had. But that small victory was short-lived. The following weekend, I saw something on Instagram that made my stomach drop. Randall and Haley at her sister's wedding. Not just as dates, but in multiple photos looking completely in love. There was one of them slow dancing, his arms around her waist, her head on his shoulder. They looked like they belonged together. I closed the app and threw my phone across the couch. This wasn't supposed to happen. The plan was for me to have my fun, then we get together when I was ready. How did everything go so wrong? In a moment of weakness, I texted him, "Can we please talk for real this time? I miss you." When we met, his expression was guarded, arms crossed as I sat down. "I just don't understand how you could move on so quickly. We had something special." He shook his head. "We had a friendship that could have been more, but you wanted to date other people first. I wanted to be ready for you." I insisted I didn't want to jump from one relationship to another without getting the wild stuff out of my system. And that was your choice to make, he said evenly, just like it was my choice not to wait around as your backup plan. You weren't my backup. Really? Because from where I was sitting, it felt exactly like that. You wanted to keep me on the hook while you explored other options. There was an edge to his voice. Now, do you know how that felt? To hear you basically say you're good enough to date, but not before I see what else is out there first? That's not what I meant. What did you mean then? I struggled to find the right words. I needed time and I needed someone who was sure about me, he countered. Haley was sure from day one. No games, no waiting periods, just genuine interest. He leaned forward. That's the difference, Brittany. She chose me first, not as an afterthought when nothing better came along. After he left, I sat there feeling like the ground had disappeared beneath me. How had I misjudged everything so badly? In my mind, Randall had been a sure thing, someone who would wait because he'd fallen for me so hard. The idea that he could just stop having those feelings, that he could look at my Hooves declaration and decide I wasn't worth waiting for, it was inconceivable. Over the next few days, I spiraled. I stalked Randall and Haley's social media, analyzing every photo, every comment. I texted mutual friends asking casual, not casual questions about them. I even drove by his apartment once just to see if her car was there. It was, you've got to stop this. Paige told me firmly when I showed up at her door after midnight, wine drunk and rambling about Randall. You're acting crazy. I just don't get what he sees in her, I said for probably the 100th time. She's so boring. She's not boring. She's stable and kind and not playing games with him. Paige took the wine glass from my hand. Brittany, as your friend, I need to be brutally honest. You had your chance with Randall and you blew it. The way you're acting now, it's making everyone uncomfortable. Everyone? Who's everyone? She sighed. The group text has been blowing up. Dominic said you cornered him asking for details about Randall and Haley's relationship. Lisa said you tried to get her to not invite Haley to her party. It's getting out of hand. I grabbed my purse and stood up. If you're all so worried, maybe you should be better friends instead of judging me. Halloween was coming up and Dominic was hosting his annual costume party. I decided this would be my last shot to show Randall what he was missing. I spent way too much money on a sexy dark angel costume with black wings and a dress that hugged every curve. The night of the party, I made sure to arrive fashionably late. The apartment was packed. Music blasting. I spotted Randall immediately. He was dressed as some video game character, standing by the kitchen with Haley, who was matching him in a coordinated costume. 3 drinks later, I was feeling confident enough to make my move. Randall was alone for once, getting a beer from the cooler. I sidled up next to him, adjusting my wings. Hey, stranger, I said, tapping his shoulder. Oh, hey, Brittany, nice costume. Thanks, you make it cute. I gestured vaguely at his outfit. Link from Zelda. He glanced across the room where Haley was chatting with some girls. Haley Zelda, right? I took another sip of my drink. So, how have you been? Feel like we never talk anymore. I've been good, he said cautiously. Really good, actually. That's great. I'm moving closer. Remember last Halloween, that party at Cooper where we did those awful tequila shots? He nodded, a hint of a smile playing at his lips. And you got sick in his ficus plant. And you held my hair back, I reminded him, touching his arm. You always took such good care of me. His smile faded. Brittany, I miss that, I continued, emboldened by alcohol. I miss us. I made a mistake, Randall. I should have chosen you from the beginning. He gently removed my hand from his arm. You're drunk. I'm just being honest. Isn't that what you wanted? Honesty? I stepped closer. The truth is, none of those guys compared to you, not one. Please stop, he said firmly. This isn't appropriate. I'm with Haley now, but do you love her? Like really love her? I asked desperately, because I think I might love Brittany. That's enough. His voice was sharper now. You don't get to say that to me, especially not now. Why not? It's how I feel, because it's not real, he said. You only love me now that you can't have. I mean, that's not love. That's just wanting what you can't have. I felt tears building. That's not true, isn't it? You had your chance, Brittany. You chose your hoof phase over starting something real with me. That was your decision, and I regret it. I cried loud enough that people nearby turned to look. I made a mistake. Yes, you did, he agreed, his voice low. But your mistake wasn't choosing the hoof phase. It was thinking I'd just be waiting at the end of it. I saw Haley approaching, concern on her face, and something in me snapped. She's not right for you, I said bitterly. She's boring and safe. You're settling. His expression hardened. Don't insult her because you're upset with yourself. Randall, Haley had reached us, looking between us uncertainly. Everything okay? Before he could answer, I blurted out, did he tell you he was in love with me first? That I was his first choice? The room seemed to go quiet, though the music was still pounding. Haley's face fell, and Randall looked absolutely livid. That's enough, he said, taking Haley's hand. We're leaving. Of course you are, I laughed bitterly. Run away from the truth? He leaned in close, his voice barely audible. The truth is, I dodged a bullet, and right now, you're proving it. They pushed past me toward the door. In my drunken state, I called after them. Ask him about May. Ask what he said to me. Dominic appeared at my side, gripping my arm. Outside now, he practically dragged me to the balcony, away from the staring eyes and whispers. What the hell was that? He needed to hear the truth, I said, swaying slightly. No, you needed to cause a scene. Dominic ran a hand through his hair in frustration. Do you realize what you just did? You tried to blow up their relationship because you can't handle rejection. As I waited on the curb for my Uber, I did something I'll always regret. I opened Instagram, went to Haley's profile, and found a recent picture of her and Randall. I screenshotted it, then opened my text thread with Randall and typed, does she know about what happened between us after Cooper's party last year when you were still with your ex? Then I attached the screenshot and hit send. It was a lie. Nothing had happened between us while he was with his ex, but in my drunk, jealous mind, planting that seed of doubt seemed like my last card to play. I woke up the next morning to the worst hangover of my life and overwhelming dread as memories from the night before came flooding back. What had I done? I'd tried to destroy Randall's relationship with a complete lie. Around dinner time, Paige called. Brittany, what were you thinking? Do you have any idea what you've done? I was drunk and stupid. I know. I'll apologize. It's too late for that. Haley was devastated, thinking Randall had cheated with you. He had to convince her it was a lie. Which it was, right? Yes, I admitted quietly. Nothing ever happened between us then. I wanted to hurt them. Well, congratulations, mission accomplished. Her disgust was palpable through the phone. Randall showed everyone the text. Brittany, everyone knows what you did. The next few weeks were the loneliest of my life. I wasn't invited to any group gatherings. My social media feeds showed pictures of my friends having fun without me. Randall had blocked me on everything. Paige was the only one who still talked to me, and even she kept her distance. One rainy Sunday afternoon, about a month after the Halloween party, disaster. I was grocery shopping when I turned a corner and nearly crashed carts with Randall and Haley. They were shopping together, casual and domestic, with items in their cart that suggested they were cooking dinner together. We all froze, the awkwardness palpable. Haley looked away, clearly uncomfortable. Hi, I said softly. Hey, Randall replied, his tone neutral. Words failed me. What could I possibly say in a grocery store that would make up for what I'd done? We should go, Haley said to Randall, turning her cart. He nodded but hesitated. Take care of yourself, Brittany, he said finally, not unkindly, but with unmistakable finality. Then they walked away, leaving me standing alone between shelves of cereal. A week later, scrolling mindlessly through Instagram, I saw a photo that made my heart stop. Randall, down on one knee, proposing to Haley at what looked like her family's lake house. The caption read, she said, yes, can't wait to spend forever with my best friend and the love of my life. I called my mom that evening. I really messed up, Mom, I said when she answered, my voice breaking. Oh, honey, she said, what happened? I told her everything. The initial rejection of Randall, the summer of meaningless dating, my growing jealousy, and finally the horrible lie that had cost me all my friends. I don't know who I am anymore, I admitted. I became this person I don't even recognize, all because I couldn't have what I wanted when I wanted it. Sometimes we have to lose everything to see ourselves clearly, she said gently. The question is, what are you going to do now? I started therapy the following week. It wasn't easy, laying bare all my ugly thoughts and behaviors. My therapist gently challenged my tendency to paint myself as the victim. It sounds like you had difficulty accepting the consequences of your choices, she observed. You wanted freedom, but also wanted Randall to wait for you. When he chose not to, you felt entitled to sabotage his happiness. 6 weeks into therapy, I received a wedding invitation from Dominic with a handwritten note. We've been friends too long to throw it all away. If you're in a better place, we'd love to have you there. It was an olive branch, small but significant. When we met for coffee, he studied me carefully. You seem different, he said, more grounded. I'm trying to be, I admitted. I've been in therapy, really working on myself. What I did was inexcusable. I see that now. Randall and Haley will be at the wedding, he warned. I took a deep breath. I figured, that's okay. I owe them both a face-to-face apology, but I promise I won't make a scene. By the time Dominic's wedding arrived in April, I felt steady enough to attend without falling apart. I kept to the fringes at first, chatting with coworkers and meeting Dominic's family. Eventually, I spotted Randall and Haley across the room. They were at a table with friends, laughing at something. Haley's engagement ring caught the light when she gestured. During a quiet moment, I approached their table. Hi, I said quietly. I won't stay long. I just wanted to say congratulations on your engagement and that I'm truly sorry for how I behaved. What I did was horrible and neither of you deserved it. Thank you, Haley said after a moment, her voice cool but not unkind. Randall nodded but said nothing. That's all. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I turned to go, not expecting forgiveness or friendship. Brittany, Randall called as I walked away. I turned back. I hope you're doing well, he said simply. I'm getting there, I replied with a small smile. I really am happy for you both. Later that night, as I watched couples slow dancing, Paige slid into the chair beside me. Proud of you, she said, bumping my shoulder gently. For what? I saw you talking to Randall and Haley. That couldn't have been easy. It wasn't, I admitted, but it was necessary. As I drove home that night, I thought about that conversation with Randall back in May, nearly a year ago. Now I'm not ready to date until after my hoe phase. Such simple words that had set off such a complex chain of events. I'd been so certain I knew what I wanted, so convinced I could control when and how things would unfold. I'd wanted freedom without consequences, options without commitment, Randall without respecting his choices. The truth was, he'd been right to move on, not because I wasn't worth waiting for, but because my attitude had revealed something fundamental about how I viewed relationships as things that existed to serve my needs on my timeline. I'd never considered that by asserting my right to explore, I was telling him he wasn't enough for me right then. I'd expected him to simply accept being my backup plan, and I'd been genuinely shocked when he refused. I pulled into my apartment complex and sat in the car for a moment, watching the moon through my windshield. My mom's words came back to me. Sometimes we have to lose everything to see ourselves clearly. I had lost everything. Randall, my friends, my self-respect. But in that loss, I'd found something unexpected. The beginning of wisdom, the understanding that other people's feelings matter as much as my own, that timing is everything in relationships, that actions have consequences that can't always be undone with apologies. Most importantly, I'd learned that while I couldn't change the past, I could choose what kind of person I wanted to be going forward. Not the entitled, self-absorbed girl who expected the world to wait for her, but someone who recognized her mistakes and was determined not to repeat them.